Hello again. I am a great believer in vaccination and think that the practice has saved many lives. I also think, though, that it should be a purely voluntary business and that individuals should be free to make choices about it, and also that parents should retain the right to decline vaccination on behalf of their children. From time to time, there is talk of making the process compulsory for children, perhaps by denying a school place to children who are not up to date with their various vaccinations, but I cannot say I'm all that keen on this idea. What few people realise is that vaccinating children was compulsory in this country for almost 100 years. There are people today in Britain who were vaccinated as children because the law required it. The Vaccination Act of 1853 imposed a duty on parents, which was that every child whose health permits shall be vaccinated within 3, or in case of orphanage within 4 months of birth, by the public vaccinator of the district or by some other medical practitioner. Parents could be fined for not having their child vaccinated against smallpox, which was the only type of vaccine in existence at that time. Some devoutly religious people objected and refused to have their children vaccinated, relying instead upon the power of prayer. A Christian sect called the Peculiar People, which was very popular in Essex and Kent. In this case, the word peculiar means special, of course, were especially opposed to vaccinating their children, and this led to some criminal prosecutions. Sometimes their children caught smallpox because they weren't vaccinated and then died of it because they wouldn't call doctors in either. They simply called all the members of the church to come round and pray for the child. In the description to this video, I give a link to the Wikipedia page on the Vaccine Acts and also to a case at the Old Bailey in 1882 in which the child of one of the elders of this church died of smallpox and had not been vaccinated. The father was convicted at the Old Bailey of manslaughter. There were several cases of this kind. In 1898, the law was changed and parents were allowed to swear before 2 magistrates that they had a conscientious objection to vaccinations. But this system didn't really work because it tied up magistrates in long cases in which religious fanatics would argue for hours about their beliefs. In 1907, the law was changed again and it became sufficient for a parent to swear an affidavit about their beliefs to get an exemption from the law. The law, however, remained in force that anyone other than those who swore out a statement of this kind was obliged to have their child vaccinated. As time passed, though, the authorities became more and more reluctant to launch prosecutions under the Vaccination Act. A lot of parents didn't bother to get their kids vaccinated, nor did they make out statements, swear affidavits, which meant that they were technically breaking the law. It was not until the formation of the National Health Service in 1948 that the Vaccination Act was finally struck off the statute book, and vaccination from then on became a purely voluntary affair. I've been thinking about this lately, in connection, of course, with the COVID vaccine. An element of compulsion was used with it in the NHS staff and those working in care homes were required to have it or lose their jobs. And I didn't really approve of that. There were those pressing for it to become a legal requirement, and such was the mood of hysteria at the height of the epidemic, I wouldn't have been surprised if most people didn't think this was a sensible move. Although I believe that vaccines have on the whole been a good thing, I'd be very much opposed to their imposition against people's wishes. It's somewhat surprising to me that for so many years we tolerated that situation in this country.